Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending upon which part of the globe you're in. Mr. Bill here. Bill Talbot, 30-year veteran here with an asset management arena. Been working on hardware and software asset management and configuration management now for over 30 years. It's crazy, isn't it? How time flies. Well, for today's Fireside Chat, I wanted to go live. I want to talk about one of the challenges we have when we work within our roles. It's a challenge that we commonly have. We're used to this, right? It's working with the products, the product vendors. It's not the vendor themselves. Sure, you have your challenge with licenses or et cetera. But I'm talking about actually the solutions that we have to use for looking at licensing, doing inventories, looking at the configurations, what's coming in, and the promises that are made to our executives outside of our realm. Because this is something we deal with every day. And it's challenging. It gets extremely frustrating in several different facets because it's like, well, that's not what the vendor told us. And the reality is you're fighting an uphill battle. And it's about credibility. It's about your credibility. How are you building upon that? How are you working with this? And see, I loved a conversation I had this week with a solution provider. And this was someone actually providing the consulting services. And we were talking about a specific product vendor that actually says, okay, we can tell you everything there is from a dashboard. And the person I was speaking with is like, Bill, you realize the product can't do that. It's like, yes, exactly. And I applauded them. It's like, thank you. You understand the product to look at all of the, and we were talking about licensing, and it's like, yes, to understand what's happening on that dashboard, you need to audit that information. You cannot trust the data at face value. You cannot on any of this, especially software licensing, because your conditions are going to vary depending upon how your agreement came into play. And we were having a great dialogue in this. He's like, well, it's just that dashboards are not valid. We have to validate it and put it into spreadsheets. We need to calculate some additional calculation. We have to look at the contracts and how they all come together. I said, thank you. That's music to my ears compared to everything we hear out there. And I had to applaud him. Had to really applaud because I don't hear that very often. So often we hear about, here's the solution we're going to put in place. And I'm not saying the solutions, I'm not trying to challenge them. I'll challenge them in different ways, but they all have the same problem. But they're all they make commitments to management. Yes, we can provide that answer. And then they make the sale and they may or may not be staying with you. Every solution provider is a little bit different on the product side. But where I'm going with on this, for today's Fireside Chat, is realize you're not alone by any means of the imagination. And one of the challenges we have here with this specific scenario is the practitioners, aka you, and this goes for consultants as well as the IT professionals, anyone doing hardware asset management, software asset management, configuration management. We don't speak up. We don't speak up in our voice and express the differences. And sometimes we do our best to express it, but realize we're not connecting with the people on the other side of how we communicate. And it's important to work on that. And that's one thing I know I've been coaching with a lot of the practitioners inside the co-op, inside the IT management co-op, is helping coach them to better communicate, help be able to connect with those around them. See, what I've found is being able to help a better understanding of how you're connecting. It's not going back to the software asset management tool providers. They all have the challenges because, especially software compliance, they don't know what your agreements are. You have to tailor them to that product. Sure, you can put scripts in. I'm not saying you can't, but as soon as you vary them, you have to make another modification. You vary it again, make another modification. Vary it again, make another modification. And there's coding involved. There's scripting involved. And understanding how to audit the data is extremely important. I know everyone loves dashboards, and that's what they're promised. And you're doing your best to help provide compliance, and you're working yourself to the bone. But realize there's only so much you can do and call it out. Yeah, you can point fingers and put blame there. That's great. But what's that going to help you with? How's that going to help you achieve the outcome you need to provide your own credibility that you know what you're talking about? See, today we're in this noise generation today. We have all the noise happening in different efforts. We have the ISO standard. Don't even get me started on that. It's there, but it's not. But that's okay. That's a different discussion for a different point in time. Definitely discussion inside the community. You have FinOps. FinOps happen because that's an area of expertise that, honestly, in asset management, we never followed through on. I'll be honest. In FinOps, I applaud them for going there for the cloud. And now we're talking about, and I see some articles talking about, okay, where asset management and FinOps need to work better together. Actually, we did originally, but we ignored it, but that's okay. But think about the noise. Think about the software compliance. Think about now we have the economy issue. It's not the first time we've ever been here. It's actually repetitive. We look at problems we've had financially in the financial sector for our areas. It actually helps us benefit and grow. It helps us grow and be able to thrive that, yes, we do have a seat at the table because they're wanting to pay attention to it. Sure, they say cost savings. That's part of it. That's where they're looking at the dollars and cents. But the reality is they're now paying attention to what's being used. And that puts it on our shoulders. And it should. It should. See, what happens is today we get these certifications and credentials. That's great, fine, dandy. But how do we apply them? That's why I created the co-op is that we work through that other 80% to work, help coach you through that. Think about how you are applying it within the workplace. Think about how you're able to achieve it. And going back to the story, we talked about having the product and doing that dashboard. And I applauded. This was a management individual, and he thoroughly understood that the product was not going to provide the solution. But what he also understood was the individual who needed to manage that needs knowledge on multiple different areas. And that does not come easy. See, that's the other part that I had to applaud him on is when it comes to performing these functions, especially software compliance, configuration management, you have your own challenges. And asset management, you have your challenges. We all have our own challenges, but we have to figure out how we're able to articulate that and realize that you're not alone. You're amongst peers who understand what you're going through. Because when you understand you work amongst peers to help you go that next step, it's about making sure you're able to apply it. And if you fail for some reason, that's okay. You don't hear that from very many people, but that's okay. You know why? That means you're not going to go that way the second time. You don't have to perform it the same way. That means you learn from the opportunity. And see, that's where everyone struggles. Because with our disciplines, we have to look and say, how can we make ourselves better? We're a continuous improvement program. That's what we do. That's how we strive. That's how we're able to be successful. And as we look at this, is figure out how can we drive that? If it's just one item during the week, let's do it. Let's thrive. Let's make it happen. But focus on one thing. Don't focus on a million. Sure, there's lots of things on our plate, but figure out how you're able to make yourself successful in that one area, complete it, and then go to the next step. That's the secret to success. That's your secret to be able to further excel in your role. That's your success in having a voice and gaining that trust. The one thing I saw this recently from a Fireside Chat, and there's conferences happening, several conferences, online, in person, et cetera, within our areas, which is great. I applaud it, make it happen. But what I've noticed out of that And this is the part that I want you, if you're a practitioner, otherwise you're a IT professional working for an organization performing hardware asset management, software asset management, or configuration management. I want you to have a voice. And I learned about this technique. I came up with the consulting path, but I was also very much on the path is being able to work with the practitioners and understand how the practitioners work. That's what I've now done for 30 years. Because of that, I'm able to make myself more relatable. And that's what I want you to do with your stakeholders. Really understand the need, figure out how you can align with what you do really well, and connect. Because with those conferences, going back to that point, is I've noticed a lot of the conferences, I'm not seeing any practitioners. I'm seeing very few practitioners speak at all. And I've seen it even cross my path. You're intimidated. You're overwhelmed. I get the overwhelmed side, but the intimidation, trust me, you have this. I have full confidence that you have this. And if you don't, please reach out to me. I'm more than happy to help you with that. Because I want you to be successful. I want you to enjoy it. Like I said, I've been doing it now for 30 years. I want you to enjoy this for 30 years, not 18 months and walk on to something else. Because that's what I'm seeing with a lot of practitioners today. You get burned out. You're not having fun. You don't get any support. And where do you go? Because as I'm looking at these conferences, I'm seeing practitioners not step up. I'm seeing the vendors who actually usually have booths at these conferences speaking versus the practitioners having a voice. It goes for most conferences. There is one conference in particular that's very good at having practitioners only speak. Really good. And I want you to be one of those individuals. And I'll give you this story. There was one time I was at a conference and having a blast. I saw this person come up and present. She was presenting her case about how she negotiated with Microsoft and contracts, and she's a phenomenal person. And had the opportunity to talk to her later, and she and I had the opportunity to talk. And I said, you did phenomenal. You did a great job. You presented your case. You're very strong, and you're able to articulate your message well. Like, well, thank you. I said, why don't you speak and present at a conference? She said, oh, I can't do that. I can't do that, Bill. There's no way. I have no confidence in doing that. I said, so what do you need? Well, I need somebody to help find a topic and sign up and help me do the presentation, put it together. I said, done. I'm more than happy to help. What else do you need? She says, well, I'm unsure how to present. I need to practice. I said, done. Let's schedule some time. We'll make it happen. Virtual or in person, and probably both. What else do you need? She says, I'm a little uncertain how to move forward. I said, well, work on that. Done. What else do you need? She says, well, I guess I need to sign up to speak. I said, absolutely. Now, the additional caveat behind that is she also did not want to be up there by herself. And she asked me to present with her. And I did. And she was the best presentation of the entire conference. Blew everyone away, including me. And from that, she's grown in several different ways. That story, I want that to be you. I want you to be able to have a voice, be able to speak, and not just at conferences, speak for yourself. Present your case. Have that voice. That's to today's Fireside Chat. Just look with all the stuff going on, but most importantly, look at how you can contribute. Look how you can you need to focus on what's important. for you. Don't worry about all the other noise. Sure, we can go to FinOps, we can go to ISO, we can go to all the certification stuff. And trust me, there's plenty of options. But the reality is that may not be relevant to you. And that's okay. Because I want you to be relevant to what you really enjoy and help you go forward. If there's something I can do, please reach out. I'm here. Mr. Bill, I'm going to sign off for this week. But hey, at the end of the day, be your best. Because when you're best, you actually feel a lot better from it. And when you feel much better about it, other people see it. And when other people see it, you actually get recognized for it. They'll comment about it. Maybe not immediately, and maybe later, but they will comment. And when that happens, when you go home at night, how do you feel? A little bit more relaxed, appreciative, and ready to conquer the new day. That's all I want you to do. With Mr. Bill, signing off for now. Have yourself a great weekend, and I will talk to you soon. Mm-hmm.